Depression, a word that has become so prevalent in our day-to-day life, whether that be in a linguistic manifestation that involves us actively conversing about it, or a literary manifestation that involves writing about it, or what's even worse, a physiological and a biological manifestation that involves being inflicted with the various different symptoms of depression. And with the rise of this phenomenon among our species, no wonder why it's become as prevalent in our lives. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Between Emotions and Intellect, where I strive to strike a balance between what I like to call intellectuality and emotionality. My name is Mahmoud, and here I talk about a plethora of different topics in a deep and a multi-perspective way. And today, we are going to be looking into the topic of depression. So, here's what we're going to be covering for this video. Number one, what causes depression? Now, if depression has been recently on the rise, it's wise to think, what is something that has currently emerged into our lives that has tremendously? Number two, what are some of the symptoms of depression? Now, what are the symptoms of depression? As this is going to help us better understand if we are truly in a state of depression or have flopped into the loose use of the word. Number three, how to cure depression. Cool. With that being covered, let's now talk about some suggestions that would help us combat this gloom of depression. And lastly, and more interestingly, how religion deals with depression. Now it's the time to introspect a little bit into the religion and to probe a little bit into the religion to see if we can possibly find anything that's relevant to what we're talking about today. So, let's get into it, shall we? Now, if depression has been recently on the rise, it's wise to think, what is something that has currently emerged into our lives that has tremendously and completely reshaped our communities? Well, if you're not experiencing brain rot at this point of your life, which most probably you are, and you try to overwork a couple of brain cells, you would apparently agree that social media should and have to sit at the top of this list of things that causes you to become depressed without an ounce of competition. Every day you're caught up in the same scroll doom that exposes you and overly exposes you to the perfect and impeccable lives of other people on the internet. Because most people on the internet would opt to show you how perfect they are or how impeccable they are or what flawless of a life they have. For example, I would choose to show you this final video product with all of its effects and transitions, but never do I show you the flawed parts, like this. For example, I would choose to show you this final video product with or this. Because more or less, most people opt to show you how perfect they are or how impeccable they are or whatever. Or even this. For example, I would show you the final video product. No. For example, I would choose to show you the final video product. For example, you get my point, right? So you start questioning yourself, am I the only one who is caught up in this confusion? Am I the only one that doesn't know what they're doing? Am I the only one that didn't figure it out yet? Because it's easy to think that everybody on the internet has it already figured out. Just for the sake of covering and encapsulating as many causes as possible into this video, I won't delve deeper into this area, and this little dibble dabble would suffice it for now. And for future reference, I'm planning to make another video specially dedicated to talk about the different facets of social media, both positives and negatives, and how I live my life as a minimalist with a life free of social media applications. So if that sounds like fun, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and to turn on the notification bell so that you can get notified once the video is around. Let's continue. Number two, that might be a little bit shocking and uncomfortable for a lot of people, but truth be told, which is music. And before ranting and raving at me because of being a staunch lover of music, I would like to anchor you to one of the recent episodes that I created about music. In that video, I discussed the topic of music objectively, both the positive sides and the negative sides. And you're gonna find a lot of merit in that video. So I'm gonna be dropping that link for that video in the description for those of you who are interested. And for the sake of this video, let's dibble dabble a little bit into music. Well, music has this feature of amplifying emotions, both positive emotions and negative emotions. And consuming a lot of negative-oriented music over time would be internalized by your brain, and it would get firmly ingrained in your brain, depending on the frequency and the quantity in which you listen to music and consume music, of course. For example, how many times did you feel a little bit less than good, and you decided to play a little bit of sad music so that you can have somebody to relate to, like the singer in the song, and then at the end of that music session, you felt consumed and worn out? Well, drop a comment if you can relate to this segment segment of this video. And not only bad music is dangerous, but also good music is dangerous because it makes you more susceptible to addiction as a consequence of the high uncontrollable spikes of dopamine, which in turn can cause you to become depressed. Like Andrew Huberman, the neurobiologist, once said.
So, number one, don't overwhelm your pleasure centers, either through activities or compounds. It might seem counterintuitive, but you're setting yourself up for anhedonia and depression if you do that. It's not just about addiction, that too, but it's also about setting yourself for anhedonia and depression.
Well, these were the two most important things that I wanted to focus on for the sake of this video. But nevertheless, there are some other things that cause you to become depressed and cause depression. Things as obvious as losing a loved one, or being alienated and ostracized by the community or those around you, and being bullied, or more commonly these days, cyberbullied. And things that are a little more subtle, like sunlight exposure and healthy eating habits, and also exercise and healthy dopamine and serotonin that you can get off these things that I listed beforehand. Now, what are the symptoms of depression? As this is going to help us better understand if we are truly in a state of depression or have flopped into the loose use of the word, as many people these days, especially teenagers, loosely use this word to identify themselves as depressed without even understanding what it means to be depressed or how it feels to be depressed. One of the most plausible symptoms that one would experience under depression is grief. And by grief, I'm talking about real grief, not just the low moments that one would experience from time to time. You guys are not depressed, you're good. I'm talking about that type of grief that would push you to isolate yourself from others for a pretty long time without needing or wanting to communicate with anybody because you simply don't feel like it and you feel uncomfortable when you communicate with people. You feel as if something is raging inside you. You don't want to be around anybody, you just want to be on an island all on your own. That is the type of grief that would be identified as one of the symptoms of depression, not just I'm feeling a little bit down today. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to go to college. No, that's not that. That's just you being you, that's you acting out. Second is what psychologists and psychiatrists call anhedonia. And anhedonia is basically defined as the lack of enjoyment when doing something that you previously really did enjoy. And again, people tend to fall into the extreme of when not feeling doing something in one of their low moments, they would instantly diagnose themselves as anhedonic. Number 3 is what is academically known as anti-self-confabulation. And confabulation, for those of you who don't know, is a story that somebody has invented in their mind or the act of inventing a story in your mind. And anti-self-confabulation is when constantly feeding your brain negative self-destructive stories that aren't factual nor real. For example, holding yourself accountable for the death of a loved one that you didn't even have a hand in, or making entirely baseless stories that don't have any relationship with any of your past experiences. There is so many other things that would exhibit during depression or during experiencing depression, like for example, continual guilt, or things that are more manifest on the physical level, like loss of appetite or even disrupted sleep. Just a quick disclaimer, learning about these symptoms and recognizing some in yourself doesn't officially say that you are depressed, because depression is a very complicated mental disorder that needs professional and requires professional diagnosis. So here I would advise you to go and consult your own psychiatrist before leaping to any conclusions. Cool. With that being covered, let's now talk about some suggestions that would help us combat this gloom of depression. And the first suggestion actually is a little bit intuitive and logical and wouldn't surprise you much. Tell me in the comments if it did surprise you though. Hold on, let's create some suspense. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the big revelation. To protect yourself from depression, you need to avoid anything that causes you to become depressed. That didn't surprise you, or did it? So if you feel tired and consumed and very sad after a scroll session, you probably need to reduce the scroll session time. And if you feel sad after consuming a little bit of sad music, you need to stop listening to sad music. And finally, if you feel sad when losing a loved one, that one is really important. You need to go on a quest to the Amazons to find the elixir of life and immortality. Oh my god, that didn't sound as funny as it did inside my head. Probably I need to work on my sense of humor. Anyways, Number two is exercise, people. You guys really need to get out of your houses and do some workout, as exercise is going to benefit you in so many different health areas, including the treatment of depression. As noted in this article on the Harvard University website, exercising starts a biological cascade of events that results in many health benefits, such as protecting against heart disease and diabetes, improving sleep and lowering blood pressure. High intensity exercise release the body's feel good chemicals called endorphins, resulting in the runner's high that joggers report. But for most of us, the real value is in low intensity exercise sustained over time. That kind of activity spurs the release of protein called neurotrophic or growth factors, which cause nerve cells to grow and make new connections. The improvement in brain function makes you feel better. In people who are depressed, neuroscientists have noticed that the hippocampus in the brain, the region that helps regulate mood, is smaller. Exercise supports nerve cell growth in the hippocampus, improving nerve cell connections, which helps relieve depression, explains Dr. Miller, whomever that is. Number three is sunlight exposure. You guys really need to get out of your pits and caves and behold the sunrise or the sunset. But most probably it's going to be the sunrise. It's much more beautiful and the weather is cool. And to further push this point, I am going to quote from this article on the NIH. ORNs, and don't ask me what that is because I didn't read the entire article, exhibit poorer mental health than other populations, and those with chronic illnesses as well as irregular sleep have poorer mental health. In the low level sunlight exposure group, nurses' mental health was better with longer sunlight exposure time. Therefore, more attention should be paid to the mental health of ORNs, and strategies or policies should be adopted to protect the mental health of ORNs. And nurses themselves should pay attention to the regular work and rest and obtain greater sunlight exposure. And there are so many other different ways to deal with depression, like drugs, the good type, and having a cold shower, as this basically stimulates the neuroperipherin, which is a chemical in the brain that helps treat depression. And lastly, and most importantly, is basically consulting a psychiatrist, as he's going to be able to better diagnose you and tell you what's going to work for you and what's not going to work for you. Now it's the time to introspect a little bit into the religion and to probe a little bit into the religion to see if we can possibly find anything that's relevant to what we're talking about today. And actually, there's quite a lot that's relevant to this domain, but I'm going to be only picking a few that I really admired. And I admire the way that it was handled in religion, that, how to counter depression. Let me show you what I mean. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, عجبا لأمر المؤمن إن أمره كله له خير إن أصابته سراء شكر فكان خيرا له وإن أصابته ضراء شكر فكان خيرا له, which basically translates to what mind-boggling matter that of a believer is. When he is bestowed with good, he praises his Lord, which is good for him. And when he is struck with a calamity, he bears patient, which is good for him. And really the way that that hadith was concluded was actually so profound for me, which is when the Prophet said, and that is not for anybody except the believer. Now think about it. If you are afterlife oriented, or like your main focus is the afterlife, how worthy is this life going to be? How worthy is the calamities of this life are going to be? It's not going to be worth it. So you're not going to be depressed. You're not going to be thinking too much. Oh, I've lost this job. Oh, I've got, I don't know, suspended from this, I don't know, application. I've got excluded from this course, this. So you are not going to be paying too much attention to this life. You are going to be doing what you can do, and you're going to be so diligent about the way that you approach it. But at the same time, you're not going to be thinking too much, oh, what if it doesn't? You're not going to be in that ruminative cycle of overthinking. You're going to be doing what you can. You're going to be doing it diligently. You're going to be perfecting it. But at the same time, you're not going to worry about the outcome. And also something that I really admire regarding losing a loved one. What do we say when we lose a loved one? What do we say when we have a deceased? We basically say like inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, which translates to Allah we belong and to him we shall return. And this is actually so profound for me. You might hover over this sentence without, or this phrase, without thinking too much about it, because it's become some kind of a custom that we are used to. But if you think about it, to Allah we belong and to him we shall return. This is basically giving you the realization that this life is not eternal, that this life is not permanent, and that at some point in our lives, everyone on this earth is going to return to the Creator. And this is what I like about religion, is that it doesn't only give you solutions to when you are in the middle of the problem, but it gives you solutions to what to do so that you don't fall into the problem in the first place, which is actually so profound for me. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I actually wanted to talk about a lot of things, but I realized it's going to be too long. And you guys, I know that you are quote unquote suffering with attention issues, so I didn't want to make it too difficult for you to watch. And I wanted to encapsulate and to basically contain in this video as much as possible so that you can truly benefit from this video and not to waste your precious time again mindlessly watching petty videos, like useless videos on YouTube while scrolling. So I'm going to be sufficed with what I said in this video, and if you want to watch something else, you can click here, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and remember that the journey is the destination. Peace.